This is Revolutionizing Recruitment with Kathleen Duffy, the art of attracting, acquiring, and retaining talent. Here's Kathleen.
Welcome back to my conversation with Marcus Buckingham, the world's authority on what the most effective leaders and highest performing people do differently. We've been talking about his latest bestseller, Love and Work: How to Find What You Love what you do, and do it for the rest of your life. Now, Marcus, I want to talk a little bit about assessments. We had a lot of questions from our clients about them, and they're curious. But I would have to say more times than not, they're really confused, and they're always asking us, which is the best assessment to use to find the right candidate fit? And when your Strength Finders came out, it was clearly ahead of its time. And I'm wondering if you could give me your thoughts on how the Strength Finders assessment differs from other assessments. And are you seeing its relevance and use in the workplace today?
So StrengthsFinder we created in 2000. And at the time, almost all psychological assessments were built either on pathology. So the Minnesota Multivariate Personality Imagery, the MMPI, was built on a deep study of pathology, of psychological pathology, or they were built on normative distributions like the big five personality traits, like extroversion, introversion, neuroticism, and so on, or they came out of Jung and were extrapolations of that, like Myers-Briggs, which is all of those things are fine. But what we did with StrengthsFinder was we went, well, why would we do that? Why would we pull it out of a Jungian typology, which is purely theoretical? Why would you do a study of pathology of what's wrong with people and build an assessment around that? Or why use normative data? Why wouldn't you go study excellence? Why don't you go study strengths? Which now, of course, sounds obvious because we're 20 years into it, and it's fueled by Marty Seligman and positive psychology in the academic world. The idea of studying strengths and what's powerful and unique and excellent about people, and building an instrument that doesn't measure you against norms, but instead says, where's your leading edge? And is built on a study of leading edges. Because excellence isn't the opposite of failure, and you can't really understand excellence from studying average. So let's go study excellent human uniqueness. So that's what StrengthsFinder was built on, and it was novel at the time. Since then, I built another assessment called Standout, which is really, whereas StrengthsFinder is for the individual, because it's 34 themes, right? Mm-hmm. For the team leader, I wanted to build something that enabled the team leader to quickly understand how people actually behave on the team. And 34 themes times, 10 people on a team is overwhelming. So Standout was designed as a complementary way to understand for a team leader how you might get the best out of your people. And both of them are clearly based on a deep study of what works for someone. Where's their advantage? Which is different than, as I said, studying norms and then looking at where are you on the extroversion introversion continuum. The use for them in pre-employment selection instruments, we didn't want to have StrengthsFinder be used as a pre-employment selection tool. We wanted it to be used always as an information provider, primarily for the individual to begin with. Primarily for the individual. That's why there's 34 themes. And like the same with Standout isn't for selection. It's really for understanding. And when you study people, and I've done, maybe 500 what are called concurrent validity studies, where you take 100 successful people in a particular role and 100 average people in a particular role, and you try to identify what are the traits, not skills, because you can teach skills. So you would never assess someone on skills pre-employment because they can learn them. But traits, what traits do they have in common? What you discover actually is that excellence in any job is idiosyncratic. They don't share traits. This is getting into the weeds a little bit, but if you wanted to validate a pre-employment selection instrument, you would look at total score. However you're scoring your instrument, there is a total sort of overall power of talent difference between 100 great nurses and 100 average ones, or 100 great teachers and 100 average ones. There is, in your instrument, you can create validity, concurrent validity, based upon total score. But if you then look at the dimensions that you're measuring, the traits that you're measuring, the strengths that you're measuring, the pattern of strengths of people who excel in a job varies. So what that led us to know is that excellence in a job is idiosyncratic. Average is the same. So all average nurses give injections in the same way, but excellent nurses deliver care in a very idiosyncratic way. You can't standardize brilliant care. Each nurse, in this case, has got to find her or his own way of connecting with a patient and helping that patient feel as though the pain is being understood and shared. So pre-employment selection instruments, we need to approach with great caution. And if we're going to use something like StrengthsFinder, we should only ever use it as an information provider. We shouldn't use it as a decision maker. There's no validity for that. And frankly, a lot of these other assessments, I won't mention their names, but a lot of them don't have any concurrent validity or any predictive validity to them at all, which means that who does better on the instrument pre-employment shows no predictive relationship to the performance of the person post-hire or the retention of the person post-hire. Almost all of them, I mean, whenever we did that analysis, and we did it so many times, looking for predictive validity of do the best all share the same traits, the answer always came back no.
So, it's interesting because when you take in those fill in the blank other assessments, right, whether they be 20 years apart, 10 years apart, they consistently say you're not going to change. Your hardwiring isn't going to change, and your graph may look a tiny bit different, but it's not going to differ very much. So you came to Arizona, probably been here a few times, but you were here in 2012, and you spoke to the Arizona Human Resources Executive Forum. And that's when Standout had just come out.
Yeah.
And at that point, my top two roles were connector and advisor. So I retook the assessment 10 years later. So I took it in March. And now my top two roles are teacher and stimulator. And I'm curious, is it common for those roles to change?
Well, no. So you're what's called now well, once you've taken an assessment once and you've gotten the results and you've metabolized them, you can't go back and retake it, because now you're delivering an assessment to a prepared mind. You're intellectualizing your responses, even though you might not have remembered the responses. Your mind isn't the same as it was when it first took it. And that doesn't mean you've changed. It means what you're trying to do when you build an assessment like Standout. And Standout it's what's called a situational judgment test. Rather than with StrengthsFinder, it's a self-assessment on paired descriptors. Standout is, I throw a situation at you, like someone at work passes your idea off as her own, what would you do? And I give you 4 choices, and then you're under a timer. And all the choices look pretty good. And it's not obvious at all which one leads or connects to which strength. And so we try to get your top of mind response, your non-filtered response, because we're trying to mirror in the assessment what happens to you in your regular day. Stimuli hits you and you react in certain ways, some of which are just part of who you are. Your natural reaction to situations is part of who you are. So we're trying to mirror that. Once you've got your results back the first time, then your mind is now not blank around those situations. It's now prepared. So when you do retest reliability studies on Standout, the way you have to do it is you have to give people the assessment, not give them the results, wait a year, and give them the assessment again. And when you do that, the retest reliabilities are north of 90%. So I think 93% of people end up with 2 of the top 3 the same if you do it 1 year apart with no results. So you have to be kind of careful about how you taint your sample, if you like, so that your mind isn't prepared. Now, with you, that doesn't mean that you don't have any teacher in you, or that you might have developed some more teacherness in you. It does mean, though, that the assessment with you isn't getting your top of mind response that's unprepared. It's getting a prepared set of responses from someone who's already taken the assessment and has remembered her results.
Well, that does make sense. And I wasn't, like I said, I love the connector because that's really in my DNA. I think that's the whole recruiter thing, right? But I was curious because here I am, I'm in a different role 10 years later, and the journey's a bit different where there is more teaching going on. So that seemed to make sense too.
And in a sense, that's what's good for taking assessments such as this. It's like, so long as they're built in a methodologically sound way, then the results that they reveal, I mean, as I said in the Love and Workbook, it's like your standout results or your Strength Finder results are an excellent place to start searching for love. If you're Connector Advisor, it doesn't mean those are categories or labels that go on your back. It means if you wanted to accelerate your search for red threads in your life, Connector and Advisor can lead you to those that street corner, if you will, the corner of Connector Advisor. Start getting out of the car and walking around in that part of town so that you can start to see what sort of activities for you are what you love. What sort of activities for you are ones where you vanish into them, or where time flies by, or where you're in your zone? Because that's really where love lies. Love lies in the deep details of you. And so if standout gets you thinking about teacher now, if it gets you thinking about that, great. Because it's not the end, any assessment is not the end of the discovery of you. It's the beginning. And a good one anyway prompts you to start going, every single day my life is trying to talk to me and show me. It's not like the enemy. My life isn't the enemy of things I have to do and to-do lists, and I've got to get through this day. If I can only get through this day. No, life's not that. Life's your friend. And life's trying to show you all sorts of different activities and situations and interactions and moments. And it's almost saying to you, how about this one? How about this one? How about this? Which of these are red threads of yours? You don't need an entirely red quilt today, but you do need some red threads every day. When it comes to love, frequency trumps intensity. It's not like you have no love in your work for 30 days and one really intense good day in a month. Like we have no data that suggests that's a good way to live. We need something, we need nourishment every day. So if Standout or Strength Finder or any other assessment you might take, if it starts you thinking about, hey, what red threads might I find today? It's like distraction is the element for us. We get distracted from ourselves. And only when you're intentional, you wake up in the morning, you're intentionally going, hey, there's a whole bunch of stuff I got to do today, but there are some things that are nourishing for me. What are they? And they're not all day, but there's 15 minutes here, there's 30 minutes here, there's 20 minutes over there. Let's make sure that I'm attentive to those today because they're nourishing and I need that.
Well, and I think you mentioned this a little earlier about how employers need to talk about what they're doing to differentiate themselves in the workforce. And I think that, to what you just said, if they, we talk a lot about what companies are doing to brand themselves to become an employer of choice, so that these candidates that are out there who are now employer shoppers are going to be attracted to these organizations. So I was going to ask you, what are some of the steps that a company can take to stand out? But I think you just answered it, is if they can articulate what those red threads are for people in their organization, then those are going to speak louder than anything else.
Well, yes, I think the two main strands that an organization can do to set itself apart would be, the first one would be, and every company will find a different way to say this, but the first one would be, can the company communicate that we are really interested in helping you find that which you love in what you do? We know that you are unique. We know that you've got some unique things that you get a kick out of and that you want to contribute. We are interested in those too. And when you come to work here, we'll help you try to find that. And I'm struck by like Lululemon, when you join Lulu, not that Lulu is the perfect company, no company is, but when you join, they ask you about all of your goals. And if some of your goals relate to the company, like I want to become a district manager or I want to become the CEO, that's great. But if one of your goals is, I want to go and start my own shoe brand in a few years, that's celebrated too. That's publicized too, because we see you as somebody who's got a unique set of loves and then unique dreams that come out of those loves. And if you then leave the organization and go set up your shoe brand or go set up your yoga studio or whatever, we don't pretend you've died. We take pictures of you, beautiful black and white pictures of you. And then we'll put those pictures on the wall of our stores and we'll call you a Lulu ambassador. Like that's amazingly cool, because it says to every human, you have worth. You're interesting, not just while you're here. You're interesting because you have unique contributions and unique marks to make. And hopefully some of what we can offer you here will be a way in which a medium through which you can express yourself. And if you leave, you don't vanish. You're still here. In fact, we're going to celebrate you. Imagine how cool that is as a talent brand, Kathleen, that you come in as a new person and you look on the wall and you go, and the manager in the store goes, yeah, that person used to work here, but now they don't. Why are they on the wall? Oh, because they're a great human that's contributing in a way that's, consistent with who they are and who we are. Like that's a really cool talent brand. So that's the first thing is, can you show people that you're really interested in them as a human? They're the ethical point of it all. And the second is, can you say to people that you see them not just as unidimensional? Can you see them as whole humans? And you understand that they've got a lot of different domains in their life. And you come to work here, and we tend to talk about it in terms of work-life balance, but that's actually, it's shorthand, but we know actually that nothing healthy in nature is balanced. Everything healthy in nature is moving. So you got to move through all parts of your life and get nourished from that movement. So balance is a funny old word, but for those companies that want to be attractive to talent today, you've got to find a way to say to people, we understand that you have agency, that you can probably be intelligent about how you use your time. You can probably be intelligent about how you integrate all the different parts of your life, and we're aware of that. So we will give you flexibility in terms of time, in terms of how you make decisions in your life. We'll give you that flexibility because we think you're a grown-up. So companies, those two strands, we'll treat you as a grown-up, and then we'll treat you as a unique person with unique loves and therefore unique dreams, and those will be interesting for us always. If you crafted messages around those two things, you would stand out, because most companies don't do that at all.
Well, I have loved our conversation today, and time has just flown for me. So thank you so much. So I know that there are people that are going to want to join the Love and Work revolution. I know the first place to start, Marcus, is to purchase your book, Love and Work. I know you have a Love and Work Learning Hub, and we can join the LinkedIn Love and Work Leader Series community as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I worked with HBR to create this Love and Work Leader Series, which is a series of 6 sessions with video, lecture notes, quizzes, cartoons. We just tried to create an interactive set of experiences focused on love and work and leadership, love and work and teams, love and work and relationships, love and work and learning. And the thinking there was simply that some people learn through books and some people don't. Some people learn through lecture notes, some people learn through video. So we wanted to give people a different set of ways to learn. And we said simply, buy the book. Once you buy the book, you've got entry to all this content. And so there's I think, a very comprehensive set of ways in which people can dive into some of these core concepts and then the practices that flow from those concepts. So yeah, if you go to loveandwork.org, you'll find all of that.
All sorts of wonderful tools. Well, Marcus, thank you for this really uplifting conversation today. But most of all, really reminding us to take our uniqueness very seriously.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And that's it for another episode of Revolutionizing Recruitment. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, make sure you take a second to subscribe so you automatically get my new shows when they drop. Also, if you have a minute, I'd love if you left me a review so more people like yourself can discover the show. Until next time, take care.
This has been Revolutionizing Recruitment with Kathleen Duffy. To connect with Kathleen or to learn more about recruitment research, go to duffygroup.com.